Right, in this video, I'm going to show you how to build your first B2B marketing strategy in 2026. So I'm going to keep it super simple because I'm a big believer that like a lot of people overcomplicate ideas like this, and it really doesn't need to be. If you just get the fundamentals right, you're going to be ahead of 90% of your competition who's not doing this, especially if you're in industries like engineering or anything that's not like marketing agencies or SaaS, because I can guarantee if you implement this, you are literally ahead of like 99% of your competition. So the first thing you need in your marketing strategy, I'm assuming that you're already at around about $1 million or pounds in revenue per year. They're the type of clients we work with. And yeah, I'm assuming you already have some kind of service, product, or offer that you've already created. So I'm not going to go over that bit in this strategy. I'll start with the website. So chances are you probably already have a website, but the key thing here is getting the fundamentals right. So does your website include case studies? These are like one pager written, going over like what your client or yeah, whatever your client was experienced before they worked with you, and then what they were experiencing after, and how you actually actioned this transformation. Also, free video content. So, just you going over scenarios, maybe running through how you did those case studies and educating in general. So, answering like common questions that people have in your industry. They're really useful. Video testimonials, super important. They can be short, the longer the better. And even having one is like exponentially better than having none. A video sales letter is also really useful. So, having that on the front of your landing page, basically walking someone through what your offer is, why you're different, um, sometimes how much you cost, and like your story in general can be super powerful because it actually adds a human to your business rather than a lot of these like corporate websites where you don't know who these people really are. And then having a book a call button, pretty self-explanatory, having some kind of way for them to get in contact with you and book a meeting. And then one that people ignore a lot of the time is lead magnets. So when you push traffic to your website, a large majority of people are not going to book a call straight away. If you have some kind of lead magnet, which is basically, this could be a 20-page document, just something that offers value to the market or your actual niche that you know they would be interested in, that solves one of their specific problems, and it's good enough that they would be willing to give their email address for. So a rule of thumb is like, if you wouldn't pay $50 to get access to the information in your lead magnet, then it's probably not good enough. Um, and why this is really good is because people won't want to commit to booking a call straight away, but a lot of the time they will commit their email address to adding to downloading the lead magnet, and that comes in really handy in the future because you have a way of getting back in contact with these clients that you in in another situation where you didn't have a lead magnet, you would have never known they even were on your website. So that's really useful. The next thing you need is traffic. So this is the bit that most people struggle with the most. Most companies really struggle with lead generation, but I'm going to keep it super simple here. So lead generation, or getting traffic in general, you can only get traffic from four sources. You can either pay for the traffic with paid ads, you can get it organically for free with content. When I say for free, it still takes your time to create the content, but you're not actually paying for the traffic. You can use outreach, so cold email, LinkedIn DMs, Instagram DMs, Twitter DMs, cold calling, and you can get traffic from partnerships. So these would be, for example, similar businesses in your space that maybe serve the same customer as you, but don't sell the same service as you. So whenever the customer asks for your service to them and they can't offer it, they can kind of refer them over to you. And you can build partnerships with cold email, LinkedIn, DMs, cold calling, and even events. So like if you go to one of your industry events, you can kind of track down the people that sell to the same customer as you but don't offer what you offer, and build relationships that way. But this is like the only ways of getting traffic. But obviously, within each one of these, there's a lot of different ways. So you could do Facebook paid ads, LinkedIn paid ads, Google, native ads, Twitter, YouTube, in content, all these different places you could do content. So honestly, I wouldn't get too overwhelmed here. I think you're better off just doing really well on one or two of the platforms rather than trying to be on everything. Especially if you're like going to be kind of splitting your budget across all of these, it's not going to work out too well for you. So, what I would recommend for most B2B companies is Google ads are quite good for capturing the very bottom of the funnel. So, getting like really high intent keywords that not many people are searching for, but that when they search for, they're very close to buying. Quite good to be there and just have put a bit of budget there. But another great place is LinkedIn paid ads. These are amazing. Um, because you're targeting the exact job titles and exact company sizes that are in your ICP. Um, so I personally would go for LinkedIn paid ads, maybe a tiny bit of Google to start with. And then content wise, I'd go for YouTube because YouTube long form videos you can repurpose into other content in the future. So when you start posting on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook, you can use AI to turn your long YouTube videos into loads of different smaller posts. And then I'd probably also be posting on LinkedIn once a day as well, and building the network there. And this is just like assuming for most B2B companies, that's probably the strategy that's going to work quite well. Um, but it really depends on where your audience is. So, for example, if your audience is more like local businesses like restaurants, they might not actually be on LinkedIn too much. So, you might be better off like cold calling, cold emailing, networking, that type of thing. You just have to figure out where your ICP actually hangs out and then focus on those channels to start with. And then the final stage is the nurture and the close. So once you've actually captured their information in lead magnets, you can start sending them 30-day email flows that kind of explain who you are, explain your service or product, and also start handling objections before you even spoke to them. That's why the lead magnet's so powerful. You can start sending them your newsletter. If they do book a call, you can follow up automatically via email for like 60 days after the call, handling objections and really trying to get them to close. You can also nurture them with your content. So if they've come to your website or they've engaged with your content and they've followed you or connected on LinkedIn, they're going to carry on seeing that content, which will nurture them closer to being able to close them. And another really powerful one is remarketing ads. So like anyone who comes to your website, you can then remarket to them for a very low cost on LinkedIn, across the whole of Google, YouTube, whatever you want, and just stay in front of them. And then also the classic way, just using your sales reps. So getting a sales rep to follow up with them twice a week, giving them calls, seeing where they're at in terms of their decision, and sending them more valuable content, whether that's more lead magnets or just your content in general, YouTube videos. And those are the easiest ways to actually nurture them to that close, especially if you've got like a longer sales cycle. But yeah, I just tried to make this super simple, not overcomplicate anything. So I hope this was useful. If you are interested in growing your B2B business, you can book a call with the link in the description below. But other than that, thanks for watching the video and I'll see you on the next one.